feeling like I'm Akademiks. Can't ride
Be a soundtrack to them, and also Ja Rule started doing things to play into the game of what people were saying. You know what Drake is doing perfectly right now? Even though I didn't like the Sexy Red record, I think that record was trash. I think Drake should have said no to that record. He should. Every other song on Sexy Red's project was hot, except the song that she was with Drake on. It's like she was off tune, sound like a dying goat, a termite in heat, and Drake got the feature on it. I couldn't believe it. The worst song wasn't a good look. Of course, I can say that. It's fine. You know, it's so funny because you have Kendrick fans like, oh my God, all right. Oh yes, the Sexy Red feature wasn't good. He's over. Buddy, the nigga's gonna drop like 30 more songs for the rest of the year. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm just saying it probably will. Who knows? That's not how you get rid of him. So we'll see what happens, okay? And yes, sometimes he's going to hit, sometimes he's going to miss, right? Okay, perfect. Okay, so some crazy things is kind of going on that's happening right now in the culture chat. By the way, let me go to Art of Dialogue. Yo, by the way, Biggie's mom put out a statement. Did y'all see that? Oh, my sweet Jesus. Anyway, all right, let's play this first. So, Cassie's makeup artist, right? Her former makeup artist, Myla Morales, says she hopes Cassie does testify against Diddy and details the time back in 2010 when she saw Cassie with a busted lip and knots on her head after she was heard screaming in a hotel room with Diddy, okay? It's kind of interesting because these people never said nothing. Well, maybe they did try to say something. Anyway, now they're being way more vocal. They're doing interviews on CNN. But let's listen to this interview. Then we'll also get to what Biggie's mom said, which I thought was wow. Yo, you know, I'll get to that in a second. Here we go.
She's a former makeup artist for Diddy and also Cassie Ventura, working for Diddy for years and eventually becoming a friend of Cassie's. In 2010, Myla alleges that she heard Cassie being physically abused and was a witness to the aftermath of the alleged attack. She joins me now. Myla, thank you so much for being here. This has been, for so many people, illuminating, infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010. And I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. So that's kind of like what transpired from that night. And once she came out of the room, she was badly, beaten.
Oh my God. What did her physical appearance look like?
I mean, it was knots on her head, black eye, busted lip, but a lot of knots all over her head.
Did she go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend, who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really it was painful to see Cassie like that because she's such a beautiful human being. And for a man to just hurt any sort of woman or child or animal. It doesn't matter, but Cass is a good friend of mine. And I just felt, I just didn't know what to do. I felt like, I don't even know how to describe how I felt that night.
Did she describe how she was feeling about having that happen? Did you get a sense that this was the first time?
It didn't feel like it, because it wasn't. It was almost like, I feel like she might have been embarrassed that happened in front of me.
But the incident that you're talking about even predates what we saw in this horrific video from a hotel floor. When that video came out, what did it feel like knowing that had now been public?
No, I was devastated when I saw that video, because it was like I witnessed what could have happened in that room and more, So that was a hallway incident. Who knows what happened, in that room when I was outside of there. And I was devastated. Actually, I've been devastated since the court cases came out and how, he mistreated Cassie.
He has settled the suit involving her specifically, but there are others, and there are sources that are telling CNN that the majority of the people currently suing Diddy are actually speaking to federal investigators, which indicates the Justice Department might be moving close to an indictment. So do you think that Cassie would testify against him if federal investigators asked her to or compelled her to?
I'm really not sure. Like I said, I can't speak for Cass, but I hope she does. I hope she does, because she's the only one that would know all the information.
Wow. I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. The more we kind of hear about this Diddy and Cassie stuff, it's incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. Man, I can't even understand what the fuck Diddy was thinking. Like, what the hell was going through his mind, and how he thought he was gonna do this for years and never get in trouble for it, right? Now, obviously, this is just the the abusive end, and I don't know. I think that video just, like, the more you hear about this, like, even this video just makes you. The video that came out where he's beating her up, right? When you hear stories like this, you feel like this guy was just fucking giving her, like, Mike Tyson upper, like, just going crazy on this young poor woman. And it's like, what the hell? It sounds crazy. I know Diddy says he claims he got help for all this. I wonder if he's trying to make it right with the Lord, man. This guy seemed like he was a very violent, tormented person who was taking it out on somebody who he felt probably in a power weird dynamic belonged to him, where you think he could have done any type of violent act and kind of treat her any type of way, and whatever he wanted, she was supposed to facilitate. It sounds incredibly sad. Rolling Stones actually did an article, and in the article they documented apparently like 6 months of like a investigation, which they did a bunch of interviews with people who used to be staffers and other things. And I don't know if those people as well have talked to the police, but the picture they painted to Rolling Stones really showcases a guy who was in love with being violent to people he had power over. That's one of the things that struck me as odd. It didn't feel like he exerted the level of violence with anyone he didn't think he could control. We're not talking about the blowing up of Kid Cudi's car. Anything that he would really, like, he would assault people who also worked in the record business. Why? He had more of a stature than them. If they went to complain or they went to snitch, they're done. He would abuse the women around him if they didn't do what he wanted or complied, or if they were entertaining or looking at other guys or whatever the case is. And just one of the things that kind of comes across is like, Diddy's whole persona was someone who seemingly was a businessman, but even when we thought about him and we thought about Suge Knight, we thought that, and I mean, it's even documented. It said he was kind of scared of some of these guys, right? But to everybody else, he was just like so much of a menace. Kind of comes off as real cowardice. I don't know Diddy personally. Don't know his demeanor. I've heard that he has an anger problem. I've heard that some of his run-ins and some of his arguments with rappers is because of that. And I heard as well, which, I'm wondering if people will extrapolate on this a little bit. They say Diddy pre-Biggie's death and post-Biggie's death is two different people. They said pre-Biggie's death, he wasn't embracing some of the violent sides of hip-hop. And afterwards, he was the guy who was handing out guns to people, moving around, thinking they could jump and bully people. The violence continued to his relationships, love life as well, which is it's kind of crazy. Anyway,